Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Khalid Masood Kareem. In this weekly video tutorial, I will share technical aspects of top volume leaders of the Karachi Stock Exchange. The purpose of this video is only for showing technical aspects and techniques. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell. The Karachi Stock Exchange 100 Index closed at 41,266 level on October 23, 2020. The weekly closing is above the weekly pivot level of 40,832 level. The projected next weekly pivot is roughly 400 points above the last week's pivot level. The weekly resistance and support levels are at 42,899 and 38,570 respectively. Technically, the Robo-Kuni indicator is flat and below its signal line. If it closes above its signal line and index also rises above 41,786 level, then it may test the overhead resistance. The Unity Foods had closed at 21.39 level on October 23, 2020. The closing is above the weekly pivot level of 19.77. The weekly resistance and support levels are at 26.24 and 17.44 respectively. Technically, appearance of a big white candle may result in more gains. The PIBTL closed at 13.15 level on October 23, 2020. The closing is above the weekly pivot level of 12.88. The weekly resistance and support levels are at 15.21 and 9.95 respectively. Technically, sideways movement is expected. The HASCOL closed at 15.73 level on October 23, 2020. The closing is below the weekly pivot level of 15.92. The weekly resistance and support levels are at 19.74 and 14.91 respectively. Technically, sideways movement is expected. The Maple Leaf Cement closed at 42.18 level on October 23, 2020. The closing is above the weekly pivot level of 39.82. The weekly resistance and support levels are at 50.30 and 40.12 respectively. Technically, the stock is likely to continue its upside move. The Fuji Foods closed at 15.93 level on October 23, 2020. The closing is above the weekly pivot level of 15.84. The weekly resistance and support levels are at 17.60 and 13.35. Technically, sideways movement is expected. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel.